prakarana. Hari Om. Welcome to Atmabodha class. This is the first class on this text. We'll do our prayers, normal prayers, and then we'll start the text. First sloka is Sahana Avatu. Those who know, you can repeat in your own mind, and we'll start now. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The Guru Stotram, the first 5 slokas and the last sloka. Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Stavaram Jangamam Vyaptam Yatkinchis Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Yapi Yat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are starting the Atmabodha, but before that I would like to give some introduction so that all are familiar with the terminology and how it's being used. And if you're going to see the chart, they're on the chart now. There is a BMI chart that you can see now. This is developed, a contribution by Swami Chinmayanandaji, my Gurudev. And the whole of the human structure as well as the world are compactly put in this pictorial form that you can see. So every human being, if you analyze, in fact every living being, if you look at it, there are 3 components that we can look at it. One is the physical body, the gross body, that we can identify this is my body, and that is represented by B. And the second equipment that we have as a human is mind, which can include some of the doubting Thomas, some of the essentially feelings and so on, and that is manas or mind. And the third equipment, which is also subtle, is intellect or buddhi. So mind and intellect are subtler equipments compared to the gross body. Now there are senses that we have, the 5 senses and of Jnanendriyas, sense organs, and 5 karmendriyas, and the gross aspects are within the body, but they are subtle in the sense of hooked up to the mind, and through the mind and indriyas the person, individual sees the world. And mind and intellect also are represented as just manas sometimes, but the subtle difference between the mind is where there are human feelings are stored in that mind, and intellect is where the discriminative, what is right, what is wrong, and what is dharma, what is adharma, all intellectual concepts, mathematical concepts are within the realm of intellect. And it's an objective mind, and this is more a mind with emotions. And human has both of them together, as Swamiji talks about, as two wings of the bird. So these essentially three equipment. We don't have any third or fourth equipment beyond this. So this gross body, which is the physical, is essentially sthula sariram, is called also, where it is quite gross that one can perceive. And the mind and intellect are essentially the subtle equipments which cannot be seen, but one can infer that he has a mind or has an intellect. And these two are the mind and intellect constitutes the sukshma sariram, along with the indriyas, along with the sense organs, all together is packaged under a sukshma sarira. So these are the three equipments that we have to operate in this world. There is no fourth equipment. So through the body, I perceive the objects, the external objects. So the O stands for the world of objects. And this is the perceiver. I take the role when I interact through the body of outside world of objects. So this is a body, and I am a perceiver identifying with the body when operating and transacting with the world of objects. And through the mind, manas, I feel the emotions or transmit emotions and the field of emotions to the outside world. So these objects are gross objects, and these are subtle objects of the world. This is emotions. And I, through the mind, is a feeler, feeling the emotions or transmitting the emotions through the mind. And I, through the intellect, as a thinker, transacting the world of thoughts, communication through the thoughts. All the knowledge is taking place at this level. So I, using the BMI, the body, mind and intellect, is essentially an individual I am, constituting, say, who am I? Either I say at the body level, or at the mind level, or at the intellect level. These are our identifications only throughout. And through the body, I am a perceiver. Through the mind, I am a feeler. Through the thinker, through the intellect, I am a thinker. So the PFT, essentially, a perceiver, feeler, thinker that I am. So my role is one of these. So essentially, that becomes the ego, the ahankara. It says, I am a perceiver, I am a feeler, I am a thinker. I perceive the world of objects through the body. I perceive the world of emotions through the mind. I essentially think the thought world through the intellect. And these three equipments I am. But who am I? Because these are equipments, this is my body, I say, I am the owner of the body. So the owner is different from the thing that I own. And this is the mind. This is my mind, and people keep changing their minds. So I can change the mind. That means I am there to change the mind. My feelings keep changing, and this therefore is I am, and this is my mind, and I know my mind. So this is the known, and I am a knower. Knower is a conscious entity that is supreme here, indicated as Om. We'll come back to that, what it means. But essentially, we know I am a conscious, we all know that we are conscious entities and existent entities. Now, through the intellect, I am perceiving the world outside. So this is my intellect. I understand, I don't understand, I know it, I don't know it, all are within the realm of intellect. So I am a knower, or I know this, or I don't know this. All these are part of my role, and I am different from the equipments that I am using. It's easy for me to say, this is my car, therefore I am not the car. But when it comes to body, mind and intellect, we say this is my body. At the same time, we have a notion that I am the body. So there seems to be a confusion, although I use for transactional purposes, this is my body. At the same time, when somebody touches my body, says you are touching me. So I am the body is deeply rooted, particularly when the body becomes, when the body has problems, then I get into a situation where I have problems. Knees are paining, I'm having pain here, or I'm having pain there. But I am a subject, and these are objects of my knowledge. Now, these equipments that I have is meant for interacting the world outside OET. So whole world is compacted in this OET. The entire universe is represented by OET, and entire I, the individual, is represented by BMI, and this interaction between the BMI and OET occurs through this P of T, that is the ego. And through this body, mind and intellect, I try to yoke out the happiness that I want through the world of objects, emotion, thoughts. I want to be happy by having this object, or fulfilling these emotions, or fulfilling or learning those thoughts. So this OET is the entire universe, and I'm trying to yoke out the knowledge, or I'm yoke out the happiness that I want through this OET. Why? Because I know I am, that means I know I exist. I know I am conscious, but I want to know, I want to be happy. So I concluded that I am unhappy with as I am, and therefore I am longing for, looking for, and trying to gain the happiness from objects and emotions and thoughts that is outside the world. The problem is, sometimes body wants something to get the happiness through the senses, but mind also wants something else, or intellect is something else, wants something else. So we have three equipments. They are supposed to serve me so that I can yoke out the happiness from the three. But what happens is, these three equipments have become masters of me. I am a slave to the body level, or slave at the mind level, or slave at the intellect level. So the problem comes is, even though I claim this is my body, this is my mind, and this is my intellect, actually I belong to them. That is the fate of a human being. Why? Because the demands of the body sometimes conflicts with the demands of the mind, and sometimes conflict with the demands of the intellect. And the struggle goes on all the time. Sometimes we know what is the right thing to do. Intellect says this is the right thing to do. But we feel like doing something even though that's not the right thing to do. So there is a conflict between the mind and intellect comes into picture. And sometimes between the body and mind also things come into picture. Body says, I'm too tired, I cannot do anything. But mind, emotional relationship says, even though body cannot do it, mind wants it to be done, because I love her, I love him, I had to sacrifice at the body level for the sake of mental satisfaction. So if you look at this structure, we are having a gross body, which is what is there in the waking state completely, and a subtle body, which is mind and intellect together, and all are awake, and their demands seem to be sometimes together or sometimes contradictory. So what is the reason why there is a conflict between the mind and intellect? For example, because I know what is right thing to do. Intellect learns as the process of growing what is right and what is wrong. But we don't have the guts to follow what is right. And where is the problem? Problem comes because of there is another here, V, represented by vasanas. What is vasana? Vasana is inclinations or likes and dislikes. So when I perform an action with egocentric attitude that I want it, I like it, I want to do it, then not only when that action is performed, there is a tangible result, immediate result, but it leaves an impression in the mind as a subtle impression that I want to repeat that experience if I like it or if it gives me happiness, or I want to avoid that if it gives me a pain. So this action and immediate result, but there is a reaction to the result of accepting or discarding or liking or disliking that forms a basis for vasana. Vasana is a subtle impression left by the action that I perform, an action that is egocentric, that I want to do it, I like to do it, and so on, that leaves an intangible result, which is essentially a subtle result in the mind, which is below even subconscious level, and that is the vasana. So if I take one day, when I went to somebody's house, they gave me hot cup of coffee, Madras coffee, and I never tasted coffee. And when I took that coffee, I liked it so much. What is it? This is a coffee. See, I would like to know how to make it. So I got a recipe, I went to shop, I bought all the ingredients, the coffee powder, milk, sugar and all that, and I made a coffee. I enjoyed it. So when I enjoy it, now it is leaving me an impression in my mind to repeat that experience. So if I keep repeating that again and again and again, that impression becomes a stronger and stronger and stronger. So every day, if I start taking coffee at 6 o'clock in the morning, as soon as 6 o'clock comes, this vasanas, which are subtle impressions in the mind and contributes to a desire at the intellect, I want to have a cup of coffee, I need a cup of coffee. And if the desire is very strong, because the vasanas are very strong, I am propelled to perform action. Otherwise, there will be mental agitations. I want coffee, I want coffee, I want coffee. Without cup of coffee, I cannot do anything else. How did this happen? Because of my past. When I perform an action, a repeated action, keep on contemplating on that action again and again, doing the action again and again, is leaving me a stronger and a stronger and a stronger impressions in the mind, and that is called vasanas. So the BMI drive is coming from that vasanas. The vasanas causes desire at the intellect level, agitations at the mind level, and the actions at the body level. This is the biography of all human beings, it looks to me. So therefore, more vasanas means more desires, more agitations, and more actions. So one who has more and more vasanas, and that becomes propelling force all the time, mind becomes restless. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. So rajasic aspect comes out so much, and this is the life now being driven by these vasanas, because unless I satisfy those vasanas, I am not going to be happy. So this becomes a blockage now. Vasanas propel at the intellect level desires, agitations at the mind level, and activities at the body level. These activities again reinforce vasanas, again that becomes stronger, again the intellect desires at the intellect level, agitations at the mind level, and actions at the body level. So we get cocooned into this process where we have no way of getting out of this. Now, so how do we get out of this process? So the way to get out of the process, essentially we have to reduce the vasanas. So the more vasanas, more desires, more agitations, more agitations, more actions. And the more actions will give you the more again the vasanas. So he said, the Ramana Maharshi says, Kruti Mahodadau Padana Karanam. Says it is becoming a vicious circle, so that becomes a Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam, and so on. So when the vasanas are accumulated, so when it comes, the more and more vasanas get accumulated, I may be able to exhaust that vasanas in this life. Otherwise, it will be stored into my bank account, which is called Sanchita Karma. Sanchita Karma is total account that I have of vasanas. So this gets accumulated by my egocentric actions. And when I perform the action, and it keeps again accumulating. So when I am born into this life, that is because of the vasanas. The vasanas that I have that need to be germinated or getting germinated, I have to be born in a conducive environment to exhaust those vasanas. So essentially, I am taking a particular birth in a particular womb where those asanas can be exhausted. So I have total account of this Sanchita Karma, of which I have brought into this world, and taking a conducive environment where I can exhaust that vasanas. And that essentially forms the basis of life itself. So this is called the Prarabdha Karma. And of that Prarabdha Karma, that which I am born, if I have a willful action when I perform in this world, then automatically I accumulate new vasanas, and in the process, I will not be able to accumulate that into my account. Either I can accumulate in this life or accumulate in the other world. Now the question is, how do I get out of this? So we have total account is called Sanchita Karma, of which I brought into this world, which is called Prarabdha Karma, and in the process of living I am accumulating new vasanas that can either be exhausted in this life or put it back into my new account as a part of into the Sanchita Karma. It's called Agami Karma, the one that will be deposited back into my total account. So this goes on, and Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam, the life cycles can keep going on. So this I get in this process of life and death and life and death and life and death, and accumulating more and more in vasanas, and that becomes a human life. So we have BMI, and the blocking is the vasanas, and I am not able to recognize that I am the pure consciousness Satchidananda because of these vasanas that are blocking my vision of the Omkara. Om is the Satchidananda Swarupam that I am. That's what Vedanta says. But I am right now at this level. So we need to reduce these vasanas for me so that I can realize my true nature. And that requires, obviously, if I perform an action, again it's going to do more vasanas only. So how am I going to remove while performing the action, because I cannot but perform an action. So we are in a very difficult situation where I have to act, at the same time I want to get rid of the vasanas. And that's what the Yoga Shastra comes into picture. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches the yoga, says Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Upasana Yoga, or Jnana Yoga. Yoga is yoking the mind to something higher, and in the process of that, I need a methodology, and that's what is the Bhagavad Gita teaches. And for that is the Karma Yoga is the basis where I can remove this vasana or nullify the vasanas by the process of Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga is required to prepare my mind before I go to Jnana Yoga. And the preparation involves removing these vasanas. How do I remove the vasanas? For that, for karma yoga to be performed, I need to bring in Ishvara. Ishvara is the Lord who is the creator of this universe. So we need to know who is the Lord. For me to know, because for karma yoga requires an application where I offer the actions or offer the results of my actions to the Lord. So Ishvara Arpitam. Arpitam means I am offering the results of the action to the Lord. That way I am not going to be reactive, because when I offer the action, the results to the Lord, then I am free from the reactions. Therefore, it becomes the vasanas, although propel me into actions, the result will not be affecting me. So slowly, the vasanas gets nullified. And we'll talk about Ishvara slowly, but here there is Lord who is a creator, and he is the one who gives the results of the action. So therefore he is called karma paladata. He is the one who gives the results of all the actions. Once I perform the action, the results are given by me, given by the Lord. For example, if I have a stone in my hand, if I throw it, once I throw it, my action is over. But the results of that throwing process is dictated by, not by me. It's dictated by the laws that are beyond my control. The gravitational force, the frictional forces, and all that will determine where the stone is going to land. I cannot change those laws for my convenience. Only I have to adopt it, knowing what are the laws, and use the laws to my convenience to get the results that I want. All I have choice is karmani eva adhikarasti. I have only choice in performing what kind of action I should perform to get particular result that I desire. But once performing an action, results are not depending upon me. It depends upon the laws that I am not the author. And who is the author? That is the Lord. So the understanding of there is something missing here. Sunil? Oh, sorry. I can't see the camera. Sorry if something is... Okay, we thought there's something going to this transmission. Okay, understanding that there is a karma paladata, there is a one who is giving the results of the action is the Lord. So once I understand it, when I offer my actions, as when I perform an action as a prayer to the Lord, whatever the action I perform, then I accept the result as it's coming from Him. And in India, in Hindus, we go to temple and they offer, after you perform a puja and offer something to the Lord as a naivedyam, and after the naivedyam is given, and it will come out as prasadam, means it is coming from the Lord. So when somebody offers a prasadam, we accept it with a reverential attitude. We don't question, is it a sweet or a hot? Is it, why I'm only getting this much? Or who made this? All these questions don't come into picture because it's coming from the Lord. So we have a reverential attitude to accept whatever is given to us. The same attitude has to be applied in terms of results of the action for a karma yogi. When I perform the action to the best that I can, using my body, mind and intellect, because these are the only equipments that I have, the BMI, and using those BMI, I perform my action my best to the capacities of my body, capacity of my mind and capacity of my intellect, all are together in the field of action. When I perform that action the best, then the results are dictated by the Lord. But once action is performed, results are coming from Him. If I have that understanding, then it becomes a karma yoga, because now I have almost offered the action as a Ishvara Arpitam, offered to the Lord. And the results are coming from him. Therefore, I should have a reverential attitude, a non-reactive approach to the results. I accept whatever that comes as a result of the action. So when I receive the result, it becomes a prasada. And that will help to perform my next action. So action and the results, continuously life will go on. This is the wheel of actions that is discussed in the 3rd chapter of Gita. So karma yoga helps in the purification of the vasanas. So the more vasanas, more desires in the mind, more agitations and more activities at the body level. And the vasanas become less and less. Vasanas have become less means the desires have become less and less. The self-centered desires have become less and less. The agitations result due to those desires are less and less. I am calm and quiet most of the time, and the body actions are also less and less. Suppose there is an individual who has no vasanas. That means he has no self-centered desire. I want this for my happiness. I want that for my happiness. I want other one for happiness. There is no running after any objects for happiness at all. And his mind is always calm and quiet. And therefore, whatever the actions that he does is not for his sake, it is for loka kalyanam. We call that person as the jnani. So this a process of where karma yoga purifies the mind, where my meditations have become less and less and less, where my mind is become calm and quiet. And this is a prerequisite for study of Vedanta. What's a prerequisite? A calm state of mind. In fact, it's prerequisite for any knowledge. If my mind is agitated, I cannot learn any subject. But particularly this being a subtle subject, my mind has to be extra pure, extra sensitive enough to absorb, and because it is an abstract science. Therefore, when the mind purity becomes an important criteria for jnana yoga. So we have understood the whole structure now in a way, because the body, mind, intellect are my equipments, which is essentially the gross body, the sthula sariram and the sukshma sariram, and the vasanas themselves are called the subtle or the karana sharira, because they are cause. Causal body means they cause or they propel a desire at the intellect level, actions at agitations at the mind level, and actions at the body level. So they call causal body. Now in the waking state, I have sthula sariram, the gross body. I have mind and intellect, therefore I have sukshma sariram, and there are vasanas also operating, the karana shariram, all three shariras, sthula, sukshma, karana. This is the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body, all are operating in the waking state. Now when I go to dream state, that is called essentially when the body is too tired. So in the dream world that everybody dreams, so the suppressions and oppressions of the waking state provides a vasanas for exhausting in the dream. So whatever the dream that I get are due to result of vasanas only. That can only be exhausted in the dream world, or that could not be exhausted in the waking world. Those are called suppressed. And those suppressions and oppressions form the seeds for our dream world. And in the dream world, I am not conscious of the waking body, because the body is comfortably sleeping on the bed and comfortably sleeping in the air-conditioned room. But when I am in the dream, I may be dreaming I am in the forest where there is a hot sun and so on, I am starving and all that is becoming a problem in the dream world, which is different from the waking world. So waking world completely negated as though, and I am creating a new world. And in the dream world, this gross body of the waking world is not there. But for a dream world, I am almost creating a dream body which is similar to the gross body in the waking world, and through that body I am experiencing the dream world. So as for a dreamer, the dream is real because he also has a body, mind and intellect, and he sees also the OET there, the objects, emotions and thoughts of the dream world. And therefore it is as though similar to the waking world, but the dream subject there as I am. So I am a dreamer in the dream, but when I am dreaming, I don't think it's a dream, it is a real world. So as long as I am in the dream, I see the world of objects, emotion, thoughts, and because I don't have the will as in the waking state, I don't perform actions willfully to the degree that I will get vasanas there. It's only exhaustive mechanism that nature has provided so that I am fresh in the morning to perform the actions of my day to day. So dream world is a nature's blessing for us to exhaust certain suppressions and oppressions so that my mind becomes fresh. Waking world is also similar to that. It is a world to exhaust the vasanas so that I am getting free. But unfortunately, in the waking world, also I have given a will to excel myself, and in the process, I accumulate new vasanas also. Whereas in the dream world, I do not accumulate new vasanas. And in the dream world, identical relationship between the body, mind and intellect with the world is there. I am interacting with my five senses, 5 karmendriyas are there, 5 jnanendriyas are there, and everything is identical except for the fact that I do not have the will to act as I have in the waking state. And as long as I am in the dream body, the dream world is also going to be there. I can ask the question, who created this dream world? Who is the God of the dream world? But within that, I do not have the intellect sharp enough. Discriminative intellect is not there to evaluate. Only I had to get up from that state to higher state of waking state to realize that what all the dream world is only nothing but it's unreal. It's unreal because it is negated by the waking state. It's not unreal during the dream state. During dream state, the tiger that is chasing me is real indeed. Therefore, it is this change in the state that brings the knowledge that in fact, what the dream world was not really real. Now, when I go to deep sleep state, the Sushupti says that state is where even the subtle body is also folded. Now, gross body is already folded when I went to dream state, and even the subtle body is folded, and I am only in the karana sarira, causal state. I am there, but there is no mind to record the experiences that I have. Only experience that it records at all is I do not know. So, no objects are perceived in the deep sleep state because the equipments to perceive are not there. Not that objects are not. We do not know whether the objects are there or not. It's an indeterminate problem because even to determine whether the objects are there or not, I need the mind. So this state, which is a causal state, is nothing but pure ignorance alone. Because I don't know who I am, at the same time, I don't see the world also. But I am there because when I get up in the morning, I say I slept very well because I was there to sleep very well. So this understanding that deep sleep state helps me that I exist without identification with either the gross body or subtle body. And I am there, even there in the deep sleep state. If somebody thinks that I am not going to be there, they are not going to go to deep sleep state at all. So they want to keep because I want to be there is always there. That desire to exist is always there. So because I know that I am going to be there, I am existing entity, and I don't cease to exist in the deep sleep state, I comfortably go to sleep. So we have three bodies: body, mind and intellect, the gross and the subtle body and the causal body, the Sthula Sarira, Sukshma Sarira and the Karana Sharira. And these Shariras are operated by a conscious entity that I am. And this aspect is exhaustively discussed in the Mandukya Upanishad. So I am a waker in the waking state, I am a dreamer in the dream state, I am a deep sleeper in the deep sleep state. There is no other states here. But I am independent of the states because I am a waker when I am awake, and I am a dreamer only when I am dreaming. I am only a deep sleeper when I am in the deep sleep state. Therefore, I am different from a waking state and a dream state and a deep sleep state. And that I am is independent of any state. It is as though fourth state, that's called Chaturtham Manyante. It is called as a fourth state because it's not really fourth, because it pervades all the three states, the waking state and the dream state and the deep sleep state, but independent of waking state and the dream state, because states are changing, I am not changing. So who am I? Inquiry involves recognition that I am there, waking state is there, but I am there, waking state is not there, therefore I am different from waking state. This is called Anvaya Vyatireka logic, that is used to differentiate when there are two things. When they are together, we cannot differentiate. At least we have to find an environment, situation where one is there without the other. I am there with the waking state, I am there with the dream state, I am there with the deep sleep state. I am always there all the time. I am in fact Nityam all the time. Can the waking state be there without I am? Not possible. So waking state depends on me, dream state depends on me, deep sleep state depends on me, but I don't depend upon any of those states. I am as I am, operating in the waking state, operating in the dream state, operating in the deep sleep state. States keep changing, but I am not changing. That which is changeless entity alone is real. Trikala abhaditam satyam. That which remains the same in all three periods of time alone is real. So anything that is changing is only relatively real. Relatively real in that state only. So therefore we call it as, in the waking state is called a Vyavaharika Satyam, a transactional reality. It's only real in that state, but when you go to next state or higher understanding, we negate that it's not really real, it's only temporarily real. Same way, dream state, everybody says it's not really real because they get awakening in the morning or getting up from the dream state and oh, that was a dream, it's not really real. Who says that? One who has awakened from that state only can say the dream state was not real. And deep sleep state, we have no mind even to evaluate, even to know that I am ignorant also we don't know, because to say that I am ignorant we need a mind again. And that state we all enjoy. Everybody likes to sleep. And why? Because there is no duality. There is no polarity, no world, no objects, no wife, no husband, no any of that, no problem, no boss, all are gone. All is I am only there. I am and I don't know anything. That's all there. Therefore, that deep sleep state where there is no duality whatsoever, it is Advaitic state, but no knowledge of that Advaitic state because the mind to know it is not there. Now we bring two conclusions here from this understanding. One is only problems remain as long as there is duality. Problems come from the second. Dvitiyardo bhayam bhavati. Says the Upanishad, say udaramantaram kudute adasya bhayam bhavati. Any speck of difference causes a fear. So you saw in the 11th chapter of Gita, where Lord Narayana, Lord Krishna shows the Vishwarupa, Arjuna is afraid, even though he shows Arjuna is also there in the total Vishwarupa. But because he still sees the Vishwarupa something different from him. And that wherever there is a difference, even a speck of difference causes a fear. And the deep sleep state, there is no difference of any kind. Sajata, Vijati, Swagata, Vedas are there, not there. The difference of all kinds of not there at all. And therefore, it is peaceful state. It's called a bliss, Ananda. But there, ignorance is a bliss. But I have no knowledge of my true nature also. So deep sleep state does not experience of bliss, experience of lack of Advaita does not give me the knowledge of Advaita. It has to be understood. Because even though I experience every day the Advaitic state as in the deep sleep state, I have no knowledge what is the truth. Because to know the truth, I need the mind. But when there is a mind is there is a duality. So we have to understand the Advaita understanding of the knowledge, real Advaita is while operating with the mind, while the duality is still present, I have to understand the reality that is behind the duality. So it is Advaita is non-duality in spite of the duality. It's not absence of thoughts, it's not the negation of dismissing thoughts, therefore I go to a thoughtless state, but it is a state where whether there is a thought, whether there is no thoughts, I am there, and shifting my attention from the objects that I am perceiving to the subject that I am is the meditation. So if I understand the whole structure now, we have the body, mind, intellect at the equipment level that we have to use for transacting in the world. And just for, as I mentioned, even for to realize what is the nature of the truth, what is the absolute truth. I want to do self-realization. You need the body, mind, intellect. Without the body, mind, intellect, we cannot realize. So we are in fact blessed with the body, mind, intellect to inquire into the nature of the reality. Now, what should I do in order to do it? Essentially, I am going morning and evening. Dinaya minyo sayam prataha shashiravasanto punarayataha kala kridati. Says Shankaracharya says it is morning comes and evening goes, morning comes and evening goes. This goes on day in and day out and month and after and year, so on. And the whole life is spent what? Going for objects, emotions and thoughts, the OET, and to gain the happiness that I want to get. And ultimately kick the bucket. This seems to be the life of or biography of every human being. But when it comes to a stage where I want to know what is the truth, this comes with the maturity of the mind. So it's essentially, Upanishad says, Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmano nirveda mayan nascha krutakrutena tad vijnanartham sagurimeva abhigached samitpanihi sotriyam brahmanishtam. Says, there comes a stage where I say, what is the meaning of this life? I am working hard, I thought I am going to be happy, then I found I need something else to do, get happiness. So there is, in all these pursuits, is already limited only. So they gives me only limited happiness, and once that is exhausted, I am again going after other objects. So this goes on and on and on. Say, what is the end of it? Is all the life is. That's going after the objects, getting happiness, and one day kick the bucket, whether satisfied or unsatisfied. That seems to be a biography of millions of people that we see in this world. But only few people ask the question, is there a purpose? What is the purpose? Purpose seems to be simple. I want to be happy. But I'm not getting that happiness outside. So when I recognize the question, says Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Brahmana. So one who is Brahmana means one who is a seeker, who wants to inquire by examining. Pariksha means examination of all the activities that I have performed in this world, and looking at the activities and say, what have I gained from this life? Is there a meaning in this life? So because the day in every day going, years have come, years and all, we complain at this time. When it's too cold, we complain. When it's too hot, we complain. When it's raining, we complain. If it doesn't rain, we complain. We only complain because we want something other than what it is there all the time. So it's looking for, a longing for happiness seems to be our pursuit in life all the time. And it's chasing happiness because we never get what we want. And one day we are kicking the bucket. Is there something else that I had to do in order to gain so that I can be permanently, eternally happy? And when that questions come into picture, because actions being finite and the actions results are also finite, and the finite cannot give me the infinite happiness that I am longing for, once I have understood the problem, Scripture advises tad vijnanartham saha gurum eva abhigached. For that to know, is there, what is the purpose, what is life, what's the purpose of your existence itself, is there a meaning, who is going to tell me? For that only you have to approach a teacher. That's what the Scripture advises. Don't come to me. To Scripture itself says, don't come to the Scripture directly, because you will be more confused only. Because you have to approach a teacher with an attitude of service. Samitpanihi. So the one, take firewood. In those olden days, the rishis were sitting in Himalayas. They don't have anything else. And if at all the cold, you need to take some firewood to keep them warm. That's all. They don't depend on anything else. Therefore, that was the advice at that time. As these things are changed, now we have to take appropriate to support that kind of knowledge teaching. That's what is the essence of meanings. With the humility where I am ready to learn. Because this is a type of subject where you cannot go to the library and read all about the Vedanta. So someone asked Swamiji, why do I need a teacher? I can go to the library and get the knowledge. Then Swami says, why are you asking me? Ask the question to the library. So when I get a doubt, what I need is a teacher. We need a teacher even to learn tennis, even to play football game. For anybody, for anything in this world, I need a teacher. Even to do a master's or a PhD, we need a guide. University won't allow you to do yourself without a guide. If I need a teacher for this objective sciences to inquire within, where I can learn going to the library, that which cannot be learned by self-study, I need in fact a teacher who himself learned through another teacher by the same process. So the teacher that I had to approach is Shrotriyam, the one who knows this Shruti. Shruti means one who has heard this teaching from his teacher. And that is this Shrotriyam. So I had to accept or approach a teacher who has a knowledge of the Shastras, and also who should be able to translate that knowledge in the language that I understand. Because most of us, we don't know Sanskrit, and if you go to something, if we talk something, we don't understand what he's talking about. So he has to come down to my level to understand where I am and uplift me from that place. So we need a teacher who knows the subject, who knows the Shastras, and also who knows how to teach to my level. That is called Shrotriyam. So Shrotriyam, you have to approach a one who is a Shrotriya, who has the knowledge of these Shrutis. And also who has learned from Shrutis from his teacher. How did he learn? He didn't learn from the library. He went to his teacher, and his teacher also was learned from his teacher, and so all the way goes to the Lord. So Lord himself is the first teacher. Therefore, it is a methodology where Guru Parampara is there, where a teacher to the student, so light is passed, the wisdom is passed on to the next generation. And a student is advised to approach that teacher. Now the second requirement, it says, is Sotriyam Brahmanishtam, the one who is established in Brahman. So that means I had to approach a teacher who is not only knows the Shastras, not only knows how to teach, and also he should be is self-realized, knows, understand, I am the Brahman. Nishtha means Dhrudaiva Nishtha, who is one who has a abiding knowledge in that. So how am I going to know somebody is Brahmanishta or not? Is there a litmus test? Is there a test for me to know this is a right guru and that is a wrong guru? Unfortunately not. A student who wants to know cannot evaluate a particular teacher is realized or not. Don't even attempt. Because I can never judge another person whether other person is realized or not. I can judge all the things that are discussed in the second chapter in the Sthita Prajna Lakshana are meant for evaluating myself, not others. So therefore, there is no way I can know that X or Y or Z is realized or not. But the scripture says you have to approach a teacher who is realized as well as knows the Shastras. So what should I do? This is a problem. If I can test a teacher, then I don't need a teacher because I should be a Brahmanishta in order to test another teacher even. But even though I cannot test it, at least I see the tejas in that and so on and so forth. It's difficult for me and it becomes a catch-22 situation. If I already know, then I don't need a teacher. So therefore, scripture says, and in fact Shastra says, it's only due to the grace of God you are led to appropriate teacher. So this is in the Shankara, in the Viveka Chudamani, it says Manushyatvam, Mumushutvam, Mahapurusha Samsrayam, Durlamam Trayami Vaitadu, Daivanugrahetukam. It's only by the grace of God you are led to appropriate teacher. So what should I do? I had to open my mind and purify my mind. Appropriate teacher will come in appropriate time where you recognize that he is my teacher. It is the student who says he is my teacher. No teacher in the world will declare, I am Brahmanishta, I am realized person. No teacher will tell you. And second, and he doesn't say, I am your guru. One has to discover that he is my guru when a student recognizes that I am gaining that knowledge from him. That is the mental state of a student. Only when I recognize that I am gaining, with that Shraddha comes the faith in the understanding that I am what the teacher says and what this is interpretation of the scripture is saying is indeed true. That knowledge is, that Shraddha is required for the student to realize. So what should be the student attitude? Student attitude, if we can say whether the one is Shrotriyam or not, he knows the scriptures or not by the way he is explaining and he is able to account or clearing my doubts, but I cannot test whether he is Brahmanishta or not. I assume my teacher is Brahmanishta. Then only I have that strong faith. Shraddhavan labhati jnanam. So one who has the faith only will gain that knowledge. So whether the teacher realizes or not, the student can realize if the teacher knows the subject. So with that attitude in mind, you approach a teacher, and what should the teacher do? Why should the teacher teach? So, sir, what are you going to pay me or going to give me some Guru Dakshina so that I can teach? No. The teacher teaches because he has nothing to gain from anything. There is nothing iota that you can give him for him to make happy because he is already happy. So if at all he teaches, is out of compassion only he teaches. Why? Because there are two things. Number one, when he was in the same state as a student, when he approached a teacher, the teacher with full compassion gave all the knowledge to him. Therefore, now a student is approaching just as he approached a teacher. Therefore, he has an obligation to pass on that knowledge. And that is called Acharya Runa. Acharya Runa means an obligation to a teacher, because teacher gave you freely that knowledge, and therefore it is your responsibility or your duty to pass on the knowledge to the next who is a deserving candidate. And Krishna glorifies the teachers in the 18th chapter of Gita, where one who is a student, who is qualified student, when he approaches, the teacher has to teach, and it is in fact, he is glorified because of that. And that teacher automatically teaches. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. So when you go with this, pranipatena means completely surrendering to the teacher, surrendering your ego that I want to learn. So therefore, the teaching is between the student and the teacher. This sloka that we chanted, Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, is preparing the mind. Oh Lord, please help us so that this communication between the teacher and the student can take place uninterruptedly without any obstacles. And this, it forms a basis, and we will go into the Atmabodha text from next Sunday on from 9:30 to 10:30 at this Eastern Standard Time. Says Hari Om.